On the flight back from Italy on Friday, my stomach was really killing me that morning. It was this intense, deep pain, not nausea, not not appendicitis. Just kind of felt like not acid indigestion. And here's the one thing that I want y'all to hear. I am so absolutely in tune with what's going on in my body. It's unbelievable. Like, it's wild to me when people are like, I don't know what's going on. After I had an ovary explode on an airplane, you bet your ass I am essentially a walking short white coat, as doctors will say. Okay? I have a short white coat. I can smell your breath and I can tell you what your diagnosis is. All right. I am in tune with the medical community. So I was feeling this interesting pain on Thursday. And I said, you know what? It's probably a little gas bubble, probably just a little something tucked right underneath the rib cage. And I said, I'll be fine, and I thought I had some Pepto-Bismol in my bag. I didn't think twice. I said, you know what? I'm uncomfortable, but I'm fine. Now, if you've never heard the episode called Ovaries on an Airplane, you need to go back and listen to it. It's probably my most popular episode of this podcast to date. Long story short, I was on an international flight. I had an ovarian torsion, which meant my ovary flipped upside down, a cyst burst, and I almost literally died. It made for great entertainment, though, of course. But so I knew getting on this next international flight to come home, I was like, well, I'm not in that kind of pain. But I think that this has now fucked up my sense of gauging whether or not I'm actually in danger, okay? Because I know what that extreme amount of pain feels like. So anytime I even so say if that was 1 out of 10, that was a 10. Even if I get to an 8, I'm like, it wasn't a 10. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I can handle it. It's an 8, please. 8, walk in the park. So we get on this flight. Jeff's like, you okay? I didn't feel nauseous, didn't have a headache, didn't have a fever, nothing. I just had this weird sharp pain in my tummy. I said, it's got to be a gas bubble. You know what I mean? Got to be a little trapped air. Well, we get up there. And it compresses even more because obviously we're, 40,000 feet up in the air. And I had the worst pain in my stomach for 12 fucking hours. Then the weather was bad, so we had to divert. We had to divert all the way to Charlotte for a minute because we couldn't land in Atlanta airport. It was a huge storm and we were running out of fuel. So then we had to sit on the tarmac for an hour and a half. And I'm writhing in pain. I said, Jeff, you know what I mean? I need you to punch me in the stomach right now. Either something's got to go out the other way or come up. I don't know. So finally get to Atlanta, finally get home. And of course, I think I have Pepto in my bag. So I'm not freaking out. I'm like, oh, let's take a Pepto at some point. We get high in the sky. I realize I only got Trazodones. What does Trazodone do? It's anti-anxiety. I take half one of those just to cool my jets, no pun intended. And it, but it wasn't a pain reliever. So one point during the flight, I'm like, I might spontaneously combust. Like the pressure started to get intense. But again, it was not ovaries on an airplane. It did not get to a 10. I was at a 7, a 7.5. Very uncomfortable for 11 hours straight. But it never got to a 10. So we land. Of course, I didn't have the Pepto. So I'm like, whatever. I have Jeff drive me immediately to a CVS and I get the maximum strength Gas X, okay? Again, I've been eating rich foods, even though it's Italy and it's pure and I didn't put on a ton of weight on the trip. It was rich. A lot of prosciutto, a lot of salamis, a lot of cheese, a lot of wine. So I'm like, it's probably just a level of overindulgence. We land. We skied into a CVS on 2 wheels. I get a Gas X. The next day I wake up. I'm still writhing in pain. So go to urgent care. Shout out to my boy, Dr. Dukes. And he goes, listen, here's the deal, Heather. I'm pressing on your tummy, and this could be early stages of gallbladder or early stages of appendicitis. He's like, and I know you have the highest pain tolerance of anybody on this planet post-ovaries on an airplane. So I don't think your body's able to gauge whether or not your insides are about to explode. So I go to the ER. I'm like, so my only option right now is to go to the ER. He's like, yeah, it's the only place on a Saturday, 4th of July weekend, you're going to get all the tests done, at the same spot. And he told me, he said, anytime you have abdominal pain that's very severe, you have to go to the ER. He's like, that's one thing we don't fuck with. He's like, they will check you for a heart attack. Side note, just so y'all know, if you ever look up the symptoms, let me just pull up the symptoms of a female heart attack. It is basically how I feel every fucking day of my life, okay? Here are the symptoms. Fatigue, got it. Sweating, got it. Stomach pain, yep. Chest pain, tits are sore. Upper body pain, shoulders are tight. Nausea, indigestion, lightheadedness, or shortness of breath. So they are literally asking me this, like, going through this checklist. Do you have any of these? I go, I have every single one of those things every fucking day of my life. And I did learn this in CPR training at SoulCycle that if you are a woman and you ever need to jump the line at the ER, you just tell them, I think I'm having a heart attack. Because you could walk in there completely able to speak, fine. They're like, when women have heart attacks, you're literally at the grocery store and you're like, I feel a little nauseous, or my chest is a little tight, but I did do Pilates earlier. Like, it's not something where you like grab your chest and your left arm goes numb. That can happen, but that's usually the case in men. Why? Because they're dramatic. That's why. Anytime Grandpa had a heart attack, he clutches the chest, hits the ground. What happens when women have heart attacks? We're just grocery shopping. You know what I mean? I get a little nauseous. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I have fatigue. And I'm literally fighting for my life. So I show up to the ER. They take me immediately. I don't say I'm having a heart attack. My doctor had already called. There was nobody in there. I'm thinking it's 4th of July weekend. Surely we got like cousin Ronnie up there who's missing a limb because he was playing with fireworks. I just figured everybody in the entire ER waiting room was going to be missing digits, ears, limbs. I thought there would be a lot of missing body parts. I get in there. There's nobody in there. So I roll in, they put me on the thing. They have to hook me up to an EKG because they're like, Dr. Dukes called, said you were having really excruciating stomach pain. I said, listen, I'm embarrassed. All right. I've been in Italy the last 2 weeks, thriving. I touched down on American soil. I think I'm dying. Am I good? And they're like, well, we got to do an EKG. We just got to keep an eye because, again, it could be a heart attack. And I'm like, I don't think I'm having a heart attack, but strap me up. They do an ultrasound. They're looking at the gallbladder. Also, I get it. I really do get it. But it's a little kind of bullshit. Like, I'm sweet talking the ultrasound gal, the ultrasound tech. And I'm like, what do you see? She's like, I can talk about literally anything with you but your results. And I'm like, okay, but I don't think you understand, ma'am. I have a short white coat. Like, you could show me an x-ray. You could show me a CT scan. You could show me a mammogram, and I'm going to be able to tell you whether or not I'm dying. That's how in tune I am with the body. She said, ma'am, you have a theater degree from the University of Mississippi. At no point do I think it is appropriate for us to swap information. I said, fine, bitch. So I had to wait for the doctor to come in. Lovely lady. Shout out to my practitioner named Christina. She was phenomenal. She's like, we're going to run all the tests. She's like, your ultrasound came back great. Your blood work came back great. I think you could have a gallbladder spasm, which if you've been eating like a lot of rich foods, if you've been drinking a ton, basically overindulgence, your body, your muscle could be in a spasm. I'm like, I'm in a lot of pain. Okay. She's like, all right, well, we're going to do the CT scan. So we do the CT scan. And of course, you're never wanting to find anything wrong with you. All right. I didn't want to be in the hospital. I'm mortified that I'm there. And in my mind, I'm like, I have a feeling, God bless, thank God, but I have a feeling they're about to wheel me out and say, bitch, you've got gas. So she's like, good news. We have found nothing, which is great. You never want to find a problem. She's like, but the bad news is I think you came here because you got low rumbles in your tummy. And I said, what do I do? Have my husband sit on me? Like, what do I do? She's like, you're going to have a bland diet for 2 days. And you know what I mean? Roll down the windows and just fart all the way home. And I said, ma'am, if I could, I wouldn't be here. Naturally, 2 of the nurses said, you look familiar. I said, you know where to find me. I was giving people my TikTok handle by the time I was rolling out of there. I've never been so embarrassed in my life. And I needed actual medical attention on an international flight 4 years prior for a real problem. But there is nothing more humbling and embarrassing than being a 37-year-old woman going to the ER because your doctor sent you there. It wasn't me being a hypochondriac. I am the opposite of a hypochondriac. I literally, my limbs are falling off and I'm like, we good. Okay, keep rolling. But my doctor was like, this could either be early stages of appendicitis, your pancreas, your gallbladder, or you're having a heart attack. You absolutely need to go to the ER. So I was like, fine. I leave there and I go up to the registers off the bursar, and I'm like, okay, do I need to pay a bill? She said, you'll get one in the mail in a couple days. Don't know why I gave her a New York accent. I was like, all right, we're locked and loaded. So I just walked out of there with nothing, not even my dignity intact. Because I was there for 5 hours, did every test, and she said, you know what? It's gas. That's fucking embarrassing. And sweet Jeff, he wanted to come up multiple times. I said, I don't want you here, okay? Honestly, I have 4 hours to sit in this very warm bed, get weighted on hand and foot, and just watch TikToks alone. No, I don't want you here. I appreciate it. I said, if, I'll keep you. I was able to share with him everything that was going on. I was like, I don't need you here. Breathing down my neck, asking questions, tinkering with all the wires because I was hooked up because they were making sure I wasn't having a female heart attack. I mean, the fact that the symptoms of a heart attack is indigestion and lightheadedness, I have that every day. If I stand up too quick from the toilet, I'm like, whoa, do I have vertigo? Like, literally, I have had shits in my life that have left me with symptoms of a female heart attack. Stomach pain, every day, fatigue, yes. Nausea, always a little bit. So, either way, any woman who's listening to this, if you have any of these issues, you might need to drive yourself to the ER immediately and just walk in. You don't have to be short of breath and just say, I think I'm having a heart attack, and they will wheel your ass back. But no, good. Thank God. Fine. Still didn't feel great the next day. My mom made me a little pastina, which if you know, you know. And I was just, flushing it out. I really think it was just a mixture of the compression of the airplane, the fact that I hadn't really shit well in 2 weeks. But I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. And this is why, lesson learned, you never let people know you're in the hospital till you get the diagnosis first. Because I shouldn't have. I was bored. I'm sitting in there, hooked up to the machine, wanted a little interaction, didn't want attention. I'm not stupid, but I was like, hey, guys, I'm here. Let you know what's going on. And then I had to give you a follow-up on what the diagnosis was. And the diagnosis was your girl's 37, ate cheese too fast, and the gas built up in my tummy. That's fucking embarrassing. I don't think you bounce back from that. I don't know how you do.